What's up, Panther Nation? We're back today with another video. Keep pounding. So, we saw two different interviews today. One from Greg Olson, one from Christian McCaffrey, about the state of our team. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you which one should not be our leadership and which one should. Then we're going to talk about a couple of other issues. First of all, let's dive into this Greg Olson interview. Now, he said about 5 things that stood out to me. Firstly, he doesn't want to question the player's effort. He won't question it, but I will. Where's the effort? Up till now, our effort in this 7-game losing streak has been complete dumpster fire. Complete dumpster fire, folks. I've been saying it in every video, if you've been paying attention. If you haven't, well, there it is. If you're new here, you're getting the full scoop of how our team really is. Not what everybody thinks it is. Secondly, he doesn't understand the plan of what we're doing right now. We are rebuilding. I want to make that very clear to everybody. We are rebuilding and reloading. If you are new here again and don't understand what's going on, there you go. We're rebuilding and reloading. We're in this situation right now where we'll talk about the 2020 schedule in the next video, but right now the focus is on this year's draft and the final game that we have coming up. We should be dropping this last game against the Saints and getting either a 7th or 8th draft pick this year. That means we have a shot at a quality offensive lineman. We need to use it. Don't waste that opportunity. Use it. Marty, I'm talking to you. This ain't business as usual. This isn't the old mantra anymore. Ron's gone. The Turners are next. You're on the chopping block as well. My opinion is, if we do not draft an offensive lineman in the first 3 draft picks that we get, Marty needs to be fired immediately after this draft. I've had enough. That would be 4 straight seasons where we don't get an offensive lineman that is quality. Now, granted, Greg Little is okay. He's okay. He's not great. He's not quality. He's okay. That's not quality. I don't consider that quality. But that's what I'm saying going into this offseason. That's where we start. If we don't start there, fire Marty because he's on the wrong track again. And he seems to be the problem if that is the case. He may be the source of the problem. I hope not. I generally hope not. I sincerely hope not. Because he had 2 great off seasons where he signed the right players that filled our needs and he got it done. And saved us some cap space. So on that front, he did well. But the types of players that we got, we'll see. Some of them are good, some of them are not. We're going to have to really reevaluate this roster all the way up and down, practice squad included, and just see what we have. But honestly, that's not the topic of this discussion. The topic of this discussion continued here is Greg Olson's interview. And he's highly frustrated, like everybody in the locker room, you know? And he's just saying, oh, okay, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. Woe is this team. We're such garbage. This is a disaster. This is horrible. What do we do now? It's like, get a grip. Get a grip. Grow a spine. Grow a backbone. Get your head out of the sand. This is the Carolina Panthers. You know? We keep pounding. That's what we do. We don't just sit there and go, woe is me, for the rest of the season. No. We build a plan. We set it up. We figure out what we're going to do. And we do it. Did you see any of these players saying, woe is me, during the 6 and 9 seasons that we had when Ron Rivera was here? No. Because we had a plan. Did you see any of these players saying, woe is me, before Gettleman came through here and started building up a plan and started building our roster and putting us into the Super Bowl? No, you did not. You saw us get motivated. You saw us get passionate. You saw us wake the heck up and grow a spine as a team. So I don't want to hear any more excuses from any of these players on how our season is going. I want a plan. I want production on the field. I want 100% effort or get off my field. That's how I would be as the coach right now. That's exactly what I would say. And Perry, you need to grow a spine too. Tell them that. It is your job as a coach to motivate these boys. Not that they can't motivate themselves as grown men. But right now, all I see is a locker room full of children. They have no clue what they're doing. None. They just suit up and they say, oh, we're getting a paycheck anyway, so screw it. You know what? If that's how you want to be, you won't have a job in 2020. I guarantee you that. Any new head coach that sees that attitude and sees your contract and sees dollar signs that we could put into cap space, bye-bye. They ain't putting up with that garbage. And neither would I. I don't blame them. I don't blame Tepper at all. If he came through here with a cherry to fire and started getting rid of people in the offseason for that attitude alone, I wouldn't blame him. You know, regardless of what they put in this franchise in the past 3 years. I'm not talking about the vets. I'm talking about the 3-year people that have been lazy. And the vets better wake up too. Because your butt's next. We're done playing around with this team. Tepper's done playing around with this team, man. He's done screwing around. He made it abundantly clear. He is not accepting mediocrity. Long term or short term. I don't blame him. Moving on. He says that the standards aren't the same anymore. Wrong. The standards have been the same ever since the very beginning. We're just not upholding them. Then he goes on to say, everyone deserves better. The fans, the players, and the coaches. You doggone right the fans deserve better. These fans pay God knows how much money for this product. I'd be pissed too. I'd be angry too. If I paid $1,000 or more for seats in that stadium, for permanent seat licenses, and watch that product on the field, I don't blame you for being angry. I don't blame the people that even come for single game ticket seasons that pay those prices. I don't blame them either. I'd be pissed too. Heck, man, I put almost $1,000 in the tickets in 2015. I'm with you on that. I'm right there with you on that. They got my money too. Back in 15, they haven't had my money in the past 4 years. Maybe on merch, but not on tickets. But still, we deserve better. I'll agree with them on that one. The coaches don't deserve better, though. The coaches are the problem. The coaches have been the problem since the very beginning. Then, you've got the players that deserve better. Okay. Some of these players on this team have been putting 100% into this franchise for the past how many years? They deserve better. I'll give you that. You probably deserve better, Greg. You've been putting in that effort on the field. So I don't blame you if you're angry on that part. But the players that haven't, they don't deserve better. They need to step it up. But I'm going to get into that in a minute. Because I got an entire rant on that right there. But we'll get into that in a minute. And following that Greg Olsen interview, we're going to discuss here Vernon Butler's actions. Now, if anyone wasn't paying attention or they missed this, Vernon Butler actually punched the wrong player in the helmet, got ticked off, and flipped off the cameras and the fans. That is unacceptable. That is not how we do things in Carolina, good sir. Not at all. Vernon, I love you, man, but that is not how we address problems. That's not how we release anger. My suggestion is put it in the weight room where it belongs. Lift weights. Get stronger, because everybody in this freaking locker room couldn't lift a paper bag right now. That's how weak they were this Sunday. They couldn't lift a paper bag. Dude, a middle schooler could run right through that defensive line. A middle schooler could run right through that offensive line and get to our quarterback and sack him. Lift weights. And then you got the coach saying that he's focused on the next game and he's ignoring the noise. Good man. That's where this positive example starts. Now, that being said, we're going to get into the Christian McCaffrey interview, and this is what leadership looks like. This is what leadership looks like on this team. And he is a 3-year pro. Only a 3. Notice the difference between him and Greg Olsen's experience in the league. Before I get this started. And this is what Christian McCaffrey said. And we're going to go through this entire interview. And if I can link that interview, I will. But he starts out by saying, these are tough situations and these are tough seasons. Amen, sir. Amen. This is not easy. What he's doing is he's accepting that this is a tough situation and that this is a tough season. He's not saying, woe is me, like Greg Olsen is. He's not saying, oh, this entire team is garbage and we're performing below standards. No, he recognizes that already. We've been past that, Barker. We're way past that. He's accepting it for what it is. Then he says, when things go wrong, it's easy to start pulling fingers, and it's easy to highlight guys and make certain changes. Exactly. End of the day, this happens. Exactly, man. He understands it's a business. He understands where the problems, what you have to do as a coach to point out these players and to fix problems. He gets it. It's a business. Then he goes on to say that the Niners had similar conversations like that when they had rough seasons. You know? Good point. Very good point. And then everyone in the locker room has to do something different to evaluate, excuse my word of language here, elevate their preparation. I don't edit these videos, so please forgive me. But they need to elevate their preparation. Notice I highlighted that part when I was going through my notes here. Elevate their preparation. Notice how huge that is. What if everybody on this team elevated their preparation to what Christian McCaffrey does every game and every week? What we could accomplish with that. The potential is there. And the way you go about playing the game. To finish that sentence off. The way they go about playing the game. Think about how crazy that sentence right there is. And how wise it is. What if our players did that every week? And changed it. Adapted. And focused on what they were supposed to be focused on. Lifting weights. Preparing for the game. Studying film. Understanding the plays. Where they're supposed to be. And why they're supposed to be there. And how they're supposed to be there. Think about it. What we could accomplish with that. Right there. If every man on this roster did that. We could be a scary team. We've got the talent. And he goes on to say, collectively, I'm going to pause on the word collectively, because it takes a team to win a game. Collectively, we're not getting it done. He's right, folks. Watch the games. Follow the signs. He's right. And then he goes on to say, frustrating part is we can get it done. We can. We all know we have the guys to do it. Yes, Christian. Yes. Preach it, man. So, they have to change their approach. That's my add-on to this. They have to change their approach. I may have changed how we paraphrase that, but they've got to change their approach. What they're doing is not working, and they're doing the same thing over and over and over every week and expecting different results, and not getting it is insanity. And that's where we are right now. We're insanity. We got to change. And then he goes on to say a famous quote from Ron Rivera, be where your feet are. I like that. I really do like that. You know, he had some great sayings, and I don't take that away from him, you know. He had some great years before 2016, and some great thoughts for this team. And I assume that's where that came from. But, diving more into this, you can't think about playoffs or Super Bowls. You can only control what you can control. Let's stop right there. You can only control what you can control. Players, I hope you're listening to this because that right there is a massive statement coming from a third year player. That is massively wise. You're talking about a guy that did exceptionally well in Stanford, came up to the NFL, and is breaking records this year. Just this year alone, he's breaking records. He is committed to controlling what he can control. He recognizes that there are uncontrollable aspects of the game. We all realize this too, hopefully. And he's doing what he can do. That's all he can do. Simplify your life and go from there. Wow. This man is speaking wisdom right now. This man is speaking wisdom. Focus on one game left. Meetings and practices are before that. That's where our focus is. And I gotta tell you, he has his mind right. Every part of this, he has his mind right. This is exactly the example this team needs to follow right now. We're going to keep going. Noise gets thrown at him, and it's inevitable. You know, the media is going to say this or that about this team. They already hate us anyway. Given. The league hates us anyway. That's a given. You know, you got the fans that are divided in this fan base that are going to be throwing some shade. That's a thing. You know. But it's all noise. That's exactly the point. That's exactly his point. It's all noise. And Coach Perry's as well. It's all noise. And they're just trying to block it out. So, he goes on to say, they all have to do a better job controlling those noises. In other words, drowning them out. And stay grounded and focused. Thank you, Christian. Yes. That's what we all need to hear right now. That's every week. That's not just 1 week. That's not just every day in practice. That's every week. They need to do that. And stay committed to it. Because when you focus and you stay tuned to the game, you stay tuned to the practices, you stay tuned to what you're supposed to be doing before you get on that field, good things will happen. It's up to every man in this locker room. Notice I highlighted the words every man specifically in this locker room to do their part. Yes. Yes. Preach it, brother. Preach it, Christian. What a leader we got right here. Every man. Remember how I said that all I see is a locker room full of children? Whining and complaining? Boom. Right there. Right there. He says every man. Meaning every guy on this team in this locker room needs to grow a spine. Thank you. So, everything in the league is hard earned, especially when you feel like you've hit rock bottom. Yes. So true, man. So true. So true. I mean, you think you're on top 1 minute, and then you're on the bottom. I mean, look at the Bengals. Look at the Bengals right now. They thought they were hot stuff. They were in the playoffs for a couple of years. They looked good, and then now, one loss. One win team. Told you. Everything's hard earned. You can't just sit there and just go, oh, we're just going to automatically be handed a win. That's not how it works, dog. That's not how it works. This is the NFL. This ain't college. This isn't college where you have soft schedules for half your season. Wake up, guys. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to suit up and play a game. And do your job properly. You're not just paid money just to sit there and be lazy on the field and do nothing and take plays off. That ain't it. That ain't it, Chief. Every man needs to step up and hold himself accountable. Thank you, Christian. Amen, brother. This man is preaching. This man's preaching in this interview. I'm telling you. Then he goes on to say, I'm going to try to be a leader and make sure guys continue to fight and prepare. You go do that, Christian. You go do that, man. Spread the word throughout the locker room. This is what we need to hear. That is what he can control. Beautiful. Beautiful interview. I just want to say that response was just beautiful. This man knows what he's talking about. He knows how to get it done, and he knows what he needs to get done and how to do it under his control. Beautiful, CMC. That's the type of leadership we need in this locker room, especially during this rebuild time. We're in so much trouble right now, and we desperately need voices like that to come out of the ashes and say, this is what we need to do to rebuild. This is what we need to do to rehash and change and prepare ourselves better in the future. And I'll add on to this. These players need to be asking, what can I do to prepare myself better? What can I do to improve myself as a person and as a player on the field? What can I do to help out my fellow teammates to collectively help us get a win? You know? And that is exactly it. That's exactly it in a nutshell. Christian laid it out. That's the battle plan right there. We may be tanking. We may be taking the season in stride as a losing streak season. But he's accepting that. He says, okay, we have the draft. You know? He's not saying it openly. You know, because maybe you're not allowed to say that openly. But that's exactly what he's thinking. You know? We're all thinking it too. And some of us are vocally saying it. That's what the draft is set up for. It's for teams that are failing and need that help to boost themselves back up by getting the players that they need in the positions that they need. It is set up like that for a reason. You show me a draft that is better set up to help out teams that are struggling and boost them back up. And I'll show you that it doesn't work. Look at the NBA lottery. It doesn't work. It works occasionally, but not all the time. I mean, the NFL draft, if you really put it in a nutshell, I mean, look at all the teams that have come out of the woodwork that were losing teams, like the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, look at the Browns now. Look at, shoot, man. I could name a few right now. But those two are perfect examples of it. You know, and they used those draft spots, and they collectively got themselves back together and put a team together to win. So, that being said, I'm going to leave this video like this. This team needs a culture change in the locker room, an attitude change, and a discipline change. We need a coach with fire in his belly to wake up this team and get them back in order. We got the players. And I'd maybe toss a third of the roster myself if I was the head coach, but I'm not. You know, I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan with a YouTube channel, giving out advice. But, we have the players. So it's on the players to discipline themselves. They're grown men. They're grown men in the NFL. They need to get themselves back in order, back in full strength, back to wherever they were before they started going into a pitfall and depression mode, Because that's not who we are. Sam Mills taught us better. He would be very disappointed with the attitudes in this locker room right now. I can tell you that right now. He would never want us to quit. He would understand the draft, I believe, and how it's set up. But he would never let this team quit. He would never. He would expect every player on this team to give 110%. Every time they step out on that field till the clocks hit triple zeros. That's the Sam Mills that I know. I hope that y'all know the same Sam Mills, because I just wanted to point that out right there. Because our lack of effort is just appalling. Our attitudes are appalling. It's time for a change. Listen to Christian McCaffrey. Take his advice. Listen to this man. He's got wisdom beyond his years. This man could be a head coach one day. I'm telling you. I truly believe that. He could be a coach with that type of knowledge. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not get way ahead of ourselves here. But those words of wisdom, holy cow. Christian, thank you for being the light in the dark that we desperately need right now. Lead by example. Be the example you want others to follow. And I don't blame Greg Olsen, because everyone on this team's looking for a shepherd. And they're all sheep right now. They're all looking for a shepherd to lead them. And, naturally they're going to listen to Greg Olsen when he speaks, because he's a veteran. I don't hold that against him. I want him to speak up. Speaking of which, where's Luke? He's been oddly silent in the past few weeks. This is the time for leadership.